Hi, welcome back. It's Diederik Gelderman here again, committee member of the AVBA, and today, once again, I have with me Rosie Overfield from Crampton Consulting Group. Good morning, Rosie.
Good morning, Dick.
How are you?
I'm really well. How are you today?
Good, thank you. It's nice and early in Queensland at this time of the morning.
It is.
So the fourth thing that we talked about initially when we started this series was the fourth biggest problem that you see was the inability of team members, team leaders to effectively deal with conflict in the workplace, and also understanding that there's no workplace without conflict. There's also always some degree of conflict. So what are some tips that you would pass on to about that topic for them?
It's a really good question, Dick, and I think sometimes people believe that a high-performing team or a great practice is one that's free of conflict. And actually, when I go into practices and people say, oh, we don't have any conflict, we all get along, it's great, I tend to worry a little bit, because I think, well, who's not talking to this person, and who's not really talking about their needs and their wants and sharing their experiences and opinions. And so I think conflict is a really important part of great teams. If we look at some of those things we discussed previously around trust and strengths, when you're in an environment where people trust each other, it's much easier to do conflict in a really functional way. And that probably is the key word there. Conflict can be functional, meaning that it has a purpose and there's a process that people use effectively. But a lot of times conflict can also be dysfunctional, where people bring their own values and beliefs and personalities and thoughts, and they tend to just kind of lob things at each other without actually being aware of how to deal with each other in those environments and how to actually get from point A to point B in problem solving. So one of the things that's really important for high-performing teams is that they first learn how to actually notice when conflict is about to occur. And I think as human beings, that's really, really tough for us to do. Inherently as a species, we're designed to avoid danger and to stay away from people and situations that aren't safe, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. However, in high-performing teams, if we can actually notice when things aren't going right, and we can step into that space with people and use good language and good questioning and be able to approach people earlier, it's so much easier to be able to resolve conflict quicker. Similarly, if conflict does occur and people are really struggling to deal with it in their workplaces, it's really, really tough on that person to turn around and say, well, you know what? You just need to go and fix this. You need to make this happen. I'm not getting involved. People aren't inherently taught how to resolve conflict. So what I want to do at the workshops is give people a structured approach for not only knowing how to protect their boundaries and to notice conflict earlier, but also to have those conversations with people when they actually need to sit down and say, this is not working, we are not agreeing here, there's an issue, we need to talk about it, what are some of the things we're going to do about it, and what is the agreed upon, point B that we want to get to.
So it's equally bad to have a workplace of yes men and yes women, and at the other extreme, a dysfunctionally, workplace with respect to too much conflict. So there's got to be a fine line in the middle in which there is, let's call it ethical conflict, I guess, and managed conflict, and that's the best way to grow your team and your practice?
Yeah, absolutely, Dick. And it's one thing to say that's the right space to play in, but we have to give people the tools to be able to do that. It's not something that we naturally know how to do well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rosie. That's been a great insight. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate your time today.